Welcome to the Fantasy Football Hub YouTube channel. Today I'm joined by the big man Bakar to preview Game Week 33. Bakar, pleasure to have you back on, mate, off the back of an unbelievable game week. I will say it does feel nice sitting here with our ranks on screen, looking pretty healthy. A couple of good green arrows. Yours was emphatic. How was the week?
Thanks for having me, Jack. Hello and welcome to all the listeners and viewers. It was a great week. It was a surreal week, actually. I mean, I didn't have big expectations heading into it. In fact, in the previous video, I was fairly downbeat about my game week 31, which didn't exactly go according to plan. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't as great as expected. For this week, this week I captained Salah. He scored the highest number of points among the realistic candidates. I got Sarabia in, he scored. I had Porro finally rewarding me for my patience.
Yeah.
You know, before heading into this week, I was actually quietly sort of thinking to myself, there are a lot of transfers that I recently did, selling Foden, not getting Darwin, was because of the fact that I owned Porro, and had I owned a cheaper defender there, someone like a Doughty, which a lot of people have, then I would have been able to make the transfers I wanted to. So I was sort of hoping that I've kept this guy for so long and he's not done anything at all in my team of note in recent times. So I was really hoping for something big from him. And when he conceded, I was I was gutted, obviously. But then the goal, I literally jumped off my bed. I was on my bed and I literally ran out of my room celebrating. So it was great to see Porro score and get that 11-pointer. It puts me in a good position now. I'm actually 16K, which is the highest I've been all season, really. So this is what you want when you're heading into the doubles with the wildcard bench boost and the other chips intact, as is the case with a lot of people. Then this is the best time to be sort of closing in on the 10K with the rank target in sight.
Absolutely. Okay, we've got a lot to get into, obviously, in this episode, in this video for the upcoming game week. And we're going to try and make it as well, for your team, obviously, we're gonna see what you're going to do. But for general players outside of that, I want to make it as non-specific to a general strategy as possible, just because I don't want to pigeonhole people and have you viewers think, oh, well, this doesn't really suit me because I'm not doing what Bakar's doing. So don't worry, we're going to cover everything and we're going to give potential options for players and dependent on your strategy. So yeah, just bear with us because we'll get some decent players for everyone's strategy, I think. Right, let's start with you, Bakar, because obviously this is about your team. This is your team reveal. You have 2 free transfers, do you? Or did you make a transfer last week?
I got Sarabia in for Richarlison. I mean, I planned to save a transfer, but then there was news that Richarlison was out of the weekend. So my hand was forced and I got Sarabia in. Very delighted with how that went. Now I have one free transfer, 2.2 million in the bank.
Okay. So what are you thinking off the rip? Because, yeah, we had a lot of late news. That Foden news was crazy at the end, really. And I sold him, ended up selling him. I'm not sure if that's a great move or not. A lot of people held him and still have 2 frees for this week. You are, just to explain to the viewers who might not know, you are not doing anything in 34, and then you're wildcarding in 35. So you are dead ending into 34. So your transfers this week and next are just for this week and next. So that is obviously very important.
And of course, because of that, they're mainly focused on double game week players. That's all I'm looking at. There are 2-3 ways I can choose to go with my team. I'll come to the most likely plan first. Okay. And this is the plan that I think I'm very likely going to go ahead with, assuming that nothing crazy happens in midweek, there are no injuries, etc. And if all stays well, I think I'll be selling Porro for Van Dijk.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful to Porro for his 11-pointer, but irrespective of that, I'm struggling to see, let's say, his utility in my team in the times to come, because Spurs are blanking in 34 and they have a tough fixture away to Newcastle, where I expect Newcastle to score this week. So I want to use a transfer sorting that defender out. What is nice with Van Dijk is that he has a good fixture at home to Palace this week, where Liverpool, I think, are after City, they're the second favorites according to the bookmakers to keep a clean sheet this week. And then they also have a double in 34. And at this point in time, I think it's very difficult to sort of nail down which other defender is going to start from Liverpool. Not even Kelleher is safe, with Alisson maybe coming back. Who knows? I mean, Robertson could be at risk from Tsimikas. We've seen with Konate that Konza is an option. And with Trent's minutes and fitness in doubt, I just think Virgil is comfortably the best Liverpool defender to own at this point in time. So I think I'll be moving for him. And again, I do have some doubts with Diaz and Darwin's minutes as well. I think one of them will miss, or maybe both of them will miss one of the next 3. Yeah, I think when you're discussing who the optimal 3 from Liverpool are, I think it's Salah, Virgil, and one of Nunes and Diaz.
Do you? Okay.
So you wouldn't want to triple up on
the Liverpool attack.
No chance.
Okay.
I just don't think they'll play all fixtures because the fixture schedule is so cramped. They have 2 games against Atlanta as well in midweek this week and then next week as well. So I just don't see a reason to triple up on the attack. I mean, it theoretically does have upside on paper, but I don't think that upside will ever come to fruition because the guys you want won't be on the field for the 3 games that you want that you're targeting.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of defenders, Virgil is Van. I don't know why do they call him Virgil, by the way. It's just not his name. That's always annoyed me.
I have no idea.
Doesn't matter, but yeah. Van Dijk is clearly the best defender outside of the Arsenal defence. Just looking at predicted points here, Gabriel, White, Saliba are doing well with that double in 34 as well. But yeah, outside of that, it's Van Dijk, and there really isn't anyone even close. I mean, the next player who doubles in 34 is really Aït-Nouri. I mean, Trent, if he's back, a word on Trent.
And even he's a minute out.
Well, exactly. I mean, the next one really is Mikalenko. I mean, there's no one else really at all. It has to be Van Dijk if you have a defender slot.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm thinking with then a planned move from Son to Eze in 34. I think Eze is a planned transfer for me, irrespective of whichever path I choose. I just really like Eze on penalties, nailed for minutes. Good fixtures actually in 34 as well. So that's the move I'm planning in 34. West Ham at home, Newcastle at home for Palace. So I want Eze then. The other sort of route I can take is to save a transfer this week. Now that will help in a way where I can, I'll have more flexibility. Of course, in case there's any injury, etc., I'll be able to deal with it much more easily. I'll be in a better position to deal with it. And maybe then I can sell Son for Eze and Haaland to Darwin, right? That could be an option. Then that Darwin route sort of opens up. That's what I like about that plan and the flexibility. But when I compare the first 2 options on paper, it's basically Virgil and Haaland versus Darwin and Zabarni. Now, what I don't like about the second option is that I'll have to play Zabarni in 34, and I don't really have high hopes from him at all because Bournemouth are playing Villa away and they're playing Wolves away, and I expect them to concede in both fixtures. So I don't really want to be fielding Zabarni. So as good as the Darwin option sounds theoretically, when you look at it from a combination point of view, I just think the Van Dijk and Haaland combination in 34 makes a lot more sense, even though Haaland has just a single fixture.
Yeah,
I still think he's fine against Brighton in 34. So I think I'm likely going to proceed with the first option. My mind could change, but at the moment I'm leaning 70-30 towards the first option simply because it gives me that better balance that I'm looking for. Not only just this week, but also next week.
No, I think that those 3. I mean, we're not sure about Aït-Nouri now with his potential injury, and then we're not also sure exactly what position he'll play. But if he is, still a doubt when we get to 34, I think the 3 that you have there, Gabriel, Saliba, Van Dijk, is the best defense you can have. I mean, maybe chuck White in, but it's those 3. I will just play devil's advocate here though and say that Palace at home is a great fixture for a clean sheet, but Everton away, Fulham away. Do you expect cleans there? Because Liverpool aren't doing that well defensively, and they're having to outscore their opponents to win games. What do you think?
No, I agree with you, but it's not about having a lot of confidence in the Liverpool defense. It's just that the rest of the alternatives are not good at all.
Yeah.
I mean, you were speaking about Aït-Nouri. Even if Aït-Nouri is fit, bread and butter for defenders are clean sheets. I don't like Aït-Nouri because even though he's playing in the front 3 and his underlying data is great, but I just don't think they'll keep a single clean sheet in the next 3. They're playing Forest away this week, then Arsenal at home and Bournemouth at home. I think all of Bournemouth, Arsenal, and Forest score against Wolves, which is why I still think that his upside is sort of limited because you're purely relying on attacking returns with Aït-Nouri. And in that case, I just think Virgil is a far superior option.
Aït-Nouri has had a lot of attacking returns recently, and if he is continuing to play in a front 3, then I don't mind foregoing a couple clean sheets there. I'm going to be honest, but I do think the fixtures are tough anyway. It's really sort of reliant on that Bournemouth home fixture for him to get something. But yeah, I don't know. I think Van Dijk is the best option. Okay, yeah. Apart from that, the team looks super solid. Let's get to captaincy because I think that is the contentious one this week.
Just one more thing.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt you, Jack. There's just one more thing I wanted to touch upon. It's having a contingency plan as well. It's not exactly a plan. It's a contingency plan in case that we hear that Haaland is benched before Luton. It is unlikely to happen. it could happen. I mean, let's be
Yeah.
realistic. It could happen. And in case that happens, then maybe I can just sell Haaland for Darwin.
Mm. Well, if you're
That's, I
planning
mean,
on doing
that's,
it potentially next week anyway, as one of your
yeah. But the only caveat is that if, let's say, Darwin plays the Atalanta fixture in midweek, then I'd expect him to get rested the weekend. So potentially selling rested Holland for rested Darwin does not exactly make a lot of sense. But
yeah.
I mean, it is something that I'll consider for sure, because Darwin is the obvious replacement. And I guess if he gets rested this week, then there's a good chance that he gets both games in 34. So you sort of have to factor that into account as well. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, that's what I'd ideally look for, because having already owned Mateta and Solanke, I just don't think there's any other realistic option I can go for. I don't want someone like Acuna. I already have Sarabi. I don't want to go there. So yeah, Darwin is the obvious Liverpool player I'd look at as a replacement in case we hear that Darwin is benched. And in that case, I will captain Salah. Coming to captaincy, my captain is Haaland. It will remain on Haaland. It won't change. I
Really?
mean, looking at the bookmakers' odds,
Okay.
absolutely. I mean, it's a no-brainer this week for me, at least. Looking
Okay.
at the bookmakers' odds, Haaland is the most likely anytime goal scorer, and City are projected to score the highest number of goals by the bookmakers. So clearly, the upside is there to target at home to Luton. I mean, that's enough for me to just go
Yeah.
with Darwin, with Haaland personally.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, it's hard to
I'm
argue
just
against
hoping
that.
I'm just hoping at this point I had Foden because I'm not gonna lie, going into this week without Foden, without Darwin, given their fixtures, is not ideal. So I'm not having high hopes as we head into this week.
I think we're going to see quite a lot of rotation personally from City. I really do. I think these are just two tough games against Madrid. Unless they just batter them. We're recording this on Tuesday. Unless they just batter them tonight, I just see rotation. I think they'll be able to blow Luton away very easily with a relative B team, and you know they'll be on the bench anyway in case they need them. I would expect them to start Haaland and Foden still, but I don't see that. I don't see their minutes being super high. And I'm not sure what that necessarily means for captaincy. But I feel like Salah's just nailed to play. You know, I say that, but you know, we saw him come off early in the last game or the game before that. Who do you think plays more minutes, Salah or Haaland? And is there any other option apart from Haaland for you? Are you looking at Salah even at all?
I think Salah's probably has a slight edge for minutes, but no, I'm not. Unless we get a leak that Haaland is starting, then I'm not.
Okay, simple as that.
And I sort of agree that the Madrid games are difficult, but when it comes to Foden's already had his rest. Foden's
Yeah,
had his rest, so I don't think he will be benched. Haaland maybe an early sub 75-80 minute mark, but that's still all right. I mean, I'd expect him to have done the business by that point. City have a lot to play for still in the league. They're high stakes with the league being closer than ever before. So that's what I would lean towards. In fact, I think that a lot of people are actually in the market for, let's say, 1 week punts, etc. I think, for example, someone could be in a position where they have 2 free transfers with not much to do with their team and they're wildcarding in 35. In that kind of scenario, I don't mind buying Foden this week and then selling next week.
yeah.
I think Foden does have genuine upside this week, given the fixture, given that he's had his rest, and you can go with him for upside. There's massive upside to target.
Yeah. Let's on that, let's open this up then to just kind of the best picks for this week then, depending on strategy, of course. You're saying you really think it's worth a transfer in then a transfer out for Foden just because the fixture is that good?
That is only in a rare scenario where, let's say, you have 2 free transfers and a wild carding in 35 with not many better transfers to make.
Yeah.
Of course, I mean, like myself, I assume a lot of people don't have the luxury of buying Foden again, but this is just for people who have the luxury of going there. I really like him as a punt.
Right. So say you're on free hit 34 then, which I know a lot of people are. What would you be doing this week with your team? Obviously, you can't carry over 2 free transfers from 34 to 35. So whatever you do, you'll have 1 free for 35. Who are the players you'd be looking to target this week? And would it really be with that 35 double in mind?
I think in that case, Foden makes a lot of sense in that, especially because City then have a double in 37 as well.
Yeah.
And right, the assumption for a lot of people, free hitting in 34 is that they're not wildcarding in 35, right?
Yes.
That's because, I mean, the people who are free hitting in 33, 34 have generally used their wildcard in 30 or 31. So without a wildcard in hand, I would really like Foden, especially this week, and then the double in 37. That's what I would look at personally.
So you have to plan obviously a little bit further ahead, but you still think it's worth going for for him over like a Tottenham or a Chelsea
Or a City
midfielder?
defender, even. I think a City defender, even someone like a
Who would you
Diaz.
go?
I mean, I think Diaz probably, because Guardiola is a bit of a doubt with an injury, so I'm not exactly sure about his minutes. I hope we'll hear some leaks before the deadline, but as of now, if I was to pick a City defender, it'll probably be Ruben, because I'm not really sure about Guardiola's minutes. If Guardiola was fit, then I would definitely go him. Given his price is 4.8, Ruben is 5.5, and Ake and Walker are still injured. So I like Guardiola for a while, but I'm really not sure whether his minutes are sort of secure with the injury.
Okay. So what about Tottenham and Chelsea players then? If you're free hitting in 34, is it time to get them in now? I mean, Chelsea have a good home fixture at Everton, and I mean, just on that double in general in 35, do you think it is worth really going for these Chelsea players and Tottenham players because they do double, or actually, I mean, and the fixture's not even that good really in 35 for either team? Is it actually even worth, breaking your team up to get 6 players?
Not necessarily this week, but I think in 35 and 37, yes, because I think the best time to do it is in 35, because you're likely going to get players from Chelsea and Spurs in 37 anyway. So might as well do it in 35 when they have the double. So I think it's definitely worth going heavy on both those teams in 35.
Okay, fair enough. Right, let's round things off with your AI recommended transfers. What do you think it's going to be? That's the question.
It's gonna be, I think it's gonna be Porro to Virgil or Save. It's either gonna be one of the two.
That's exactly what it is. It's Porro to Virgil, Porro to Van Dijk.
Yeah.
Exactly what you're planning, and it does just make sense. I mean, the great thing about Van Dijk and the Liverpool defense is that you have this Palace home game before the really good, the Dublin 34. Whereas other teams, if you're looking at Palace defender, for example, Liverpool away really hard this week. Same for Everton as well, tougher fixture this week perhaps. So yeah, I mean, having those 3 fixtures over the next 2 game weeks looks super solid for Van Dijk. I do maintain that I'm not sure about cleans, apart from the Palace game. I think is a very good chance. But yeah, Porro to Van Dijk, exactly what you're saying. Got to be relatively happy with that.
Yeah, I'm very, very happy with that. I think that's sort of picks itself this week. I'm sort of glad that my transfers aren't really difficult to choose from. 2-3 weeks ago, I was sort of struggling with my transfer plans, but now to be very honest, I'm just looking forward to wildcarding in 35. I just put together a Gameweek 35 draft, and it looks so strong, not just for 37, but for 35 and 36 as well. And what got me really excited is that it's a lot different to, let's say, the Gameweek 31, 32, 33 template.
Yeah.
It's very different because you see right now, a lot of people have maxed out on Liverpool, Arsenal, Bournemouth, right? The Gameweek 35 wildcard draft does not have representation from these 3 teams as much. Just maybe one or 2 from Arsenal at best. None from Bournemouth, none from Liverpool. And it's completely different because then you're targeting players from Newcastle, you're targeting players from United, because Newcastle are playing at home to Sheffield United in 35, United playing at home to Burnley in 35. And then you have 6 doublers from Chelsea and Spurs. It just looks so strong. And then the bench boost in 37.
Yeah.
I just wish I could fast forward to 35 and then we can proceed from there.
Right, guys, if you would like your own recommended transfers, as we've just seen from Bakar, then link is always down below. Yeah, the one thing I will say, and we'll get into 35 in a lot more depth when we're both on Wildcard in a couple of weeks. I think the deliberation there is going to be, how many guys do we get rid of that have been so good for us recently and caused big green arrows to this point? The likes of Arsenal, as you mentioned, how many of those do you keep? Even Liverpool, perhaps. Which city do you go? And is it really worth going heavy on teams like Man United and Newcastle that are so inconsistent and we're just not sure about their form at all just because they double? And that is going to be the tough one, I think. How heavy do you go on these teams that are so different to the current template that we have?
I agree. And I personally think it's worth going all out for those players, not because they have the double.
So risky, I love it.
But because of the fixtures in 35, Newcastle at home to Sheffield, United at home to Bournemouth, to Burnley, for sure. I mean, I want to go all in on the double for sure. But yeah, the next 2 weeks for me are going to be damage limitation, because with no free hit, I just want to preserve my rank. I just hope I don't fall too far behind my rank. That is why this week was very, very crucial, because I've gained like 12K in just one single week. I sort of have that extra margin to fall in the next 2 weeks to the free hitters and lose some ground. But then I can hopefully regain that back in 35 and 36 onwards when I wildcard.
Yeah. I mean, you say that, to be fair. I know we're going on a bit here, but let's just do these moves that you've said here. Porro to Van Dijk looks great. That's fine. Team for this week is a 95% Gameweek rating according to Fantasy Football Hub. And then 34. What were your proposed
Santa
moves
Eze.
again? Santa Eze,
Son.
and that was it.
Yep.
I mean, looking at that team, I don't really know how much stronger you could get. The goalie, perhaps you'd change. You wouldn't change the back three.
Yeah, I mean,
Salah, Saka,
comparing
Eze,
that,
Sarabia. Who are you missing there? Solanke, Mateta, Haaland. You have everyone, apart from maybe one more Liverpool player who you're not sure about their minutes anyway. I don't think there's going to be much downside.
I think the template game week 34 free hit draft will have a better goalkeeper. It'll probably have Henderson as opposed to my Neto. It will have Darwin. I won't have Darwin. That's something that really scares me, and that's something that I'm really wary of.
Okay.
And the third thing that I think a lot of free hitters in 34 will have is someone like an Odegaard or Havertz as opposed to my double Arsenal defense.
Yeah, sure.
I think people will go with double Arsenal attack for upside, and they might as well go with someone like a Mikilenko because Everton are playing at home to Forest as well. That's a okay fixture for clean sheets.
I understand that, but I mean, I think that's just upside chasing for the sake of it. I don't think that's necessarily better in terms of predicted points. I don't think that's better at all, to be honest. I think you can't. I think not having double Arsenal defense is crazy. Even though the fixtures are relatively tough on paper, I don't know. I see clean sheets in both of them. I just don't see them conceding right now. So I feel like, yeah. I mean, what are your overall thoughts on the free hit 29, wildcard 35 strategy and how that's played out so far? Are you happy with the decision?
I am. I think it's worked out well, and I think the gains are yet to come. Actually, I think the main
Wow,
game there
really?
is to wildcard in 35, of course, because it meant that I was not wildcarding in 30-31. It meant that I was wildcarding in 35, and I still think the gains to be made will. I think the best time to sort of assess it is by game week 37. I think it's too early to assess it. Given I still think the game week 30-31 wildcarders have done well as well. They've sort of benefited from points in recent weeks, but yeah, I think my strategy was fine as well.
Okay, that's going to do it for this one, guys. Thank you very much, as always, Bakar. Yeah, it's nice to have a bit more of a chilled decision-making week because I tell you what, when we had that Foden news, I was scrambling around. I was very tired. I was looking to get off to football to play on Saturday lunchtime, and I thought, am I selling Foden here? And I ended up doing it, and now I kind of regret it a little bit. But we'll see what happens.
You got the Sarabia points though, didn't you?
No, but last week, but no, because I didn't want to play Sarabia. I also thought there was a chance that Saka might not play, and then I was like, well, I'll have Sarabia first bench. So I brought Diaz in. So I'm on the triple Liverpool attack for the double, which I kind of like, to be honest. But we'll see how it goes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Good luck, mate. Cheers.
Yeah, you too, and good luck to all of you guys as well.